These are times Meg finally had enough and actually fought back. Starting with the time Meg showed Lois up as a housewife when the adults and kids swapped roles in the episode Trading Places. So after Chris and Meg wreck Peter's new dirt bike, Peter and Lois decide to do some actual tough parenting for a change.
You know, I don't think you kids appreciate how hard your father and I work to provide you with everything we do.
Yeah, you think it's easy drinking wine during the day while scrolling through Facebook? And you know, cleaning, too, sometimes? But the kids think that adult life can't be all that difficult, so the parents propose an experiment.
You kids switch places with your dad and me. For the next week, you'll be the parents and we'll be the kids.
You're giving Meg and Chris a chance to sleep in the same bed without it being viewed as weird? Sign them up. So while Chris takes on the role of breadwinner, Meg takes over Lois's duties of cooking and cleaning the house.
She has no idea how hard it is to cook.
Yeah, I bet she comes out with just like a poop on a plate.
For your information, the correct term is poo-poo platter, and they're actually quite common and useful in showcasing different foods. But Meg actually whips up a pretty stellar full-course meal, much to her mom's surprise.
What about all the housework?
I did it in like an hour. I don't understand why you're such a freaking martyr all the time.
I get that everyone wants to treat their job seriously, but sometimes you gotta have reality slap you in the face. And that's exactly what happened here, with Meg countering Lois's nagging and complaining by showing her up on her home field. In Lois's defense, Meg doesn't have the extra weight of thinking she wasted her entire life to deal with, but she'll get there, we're sure. And Meg would get Peter and the Amish to resolve their differences when she starts dating an Amish boy in Amish guy. So when their car breaks down in the countryside, the family ends up spending the night in an Amish community where Meg meets Eli.
So what do you do for fun around here?
We do chores and we watch other people do chores.
Uh-huh. And where do you fit in bashing your head against the side of a barn? I can only imagine that's another favorite pastime in this boring little town. But the two end up growing closer, which Eli's father Ezekiel takes issue with.
She is an outsider. She does not follow the one true path. You are not to see this girl again.
You're lost, pal. You see her arms? Stellar butter churning arms. Your society could have thrived with her. And when Peter tries to talk to Ezekiel to let the kids date, things only end up getting worse.
You are banished from our community at once, and take your daughter with you.
Hey! Only Peter, the rest of the family, their neighbors, the kids at school, and the residents of the greater Quahog area are allowed to call her that. But this kickstarts an all-out war that threatens to destroy both men, though luckily Meg and Eli step in to talk them down before that can happen.
Dad, stop! Leave him alone!
Father, what are you doing?
Hey, don't deprive your dads of dying in a very avoidable fistfight. It's the dream of every man. But the two kids realize that even with their parents' blessings, they're meant for two different worlds and end up parting ways. It's pretty heartbreaking, but also mature of Meg to come to terms with reality despite her happiness. Plus, you'd have to live without her phone, which is kind of a deal breaker. And Meg would break new ground when her makeover led to her becoming a star and the face of the family in Don't Make Me Over. So Meg ends up winning a makeover through the news, and it's surprising to see what a little eyeshadow and hair dye can do.
I always thought you were beautiful just the way.
Hey, he got further into that lie than I expected him to. But now that Meg is hot, there's only one logical next step. Throw her into a singing career, despite her having no previous evidence of vocal talent.
You guys were great. My name's Jimmy Iovine, and I'd like to make you filthy rich rock stars.
Man, prison is just filled with so many great life opportunities. If the police ever find the body, maybe I'll give it a try. So the family becomes a musical sensation with Meg at the forefront. But with that much fame and blonde hair dye seeping into her brain, it was only a matter of time before Meg started acting like a diva.
Lois, go grab me another bag of Skittles.
Excuse me, young lady?
Did I freaking stutter?
I guess Lois just doesn't speak prima donna. I've been wanting Duolingo to add that language to their app for years. And with Meg being the selling point of the band, she believes she has some form of authority over everyone else.
You know, maybe you haven't noticed, Lois, but I am the band.
Big talk for someone who had to employ Tara Strong to do her singing voice. Of course, her fame doesn't last too long before she gives it all up, but I'm sure she at least enjoyed her time being the most desirable member of the family for a change. And when Meg desired to be in charge of babysitting Stewie, he pushed her too far and made her snap in Peter's lost youth. So when Peter and Lois leave for the weekend, Meg argues that she doesn't need to be watched over by a dog.
I'm in high school, and you're still putting the dog in charge?
Believe me, Meg, you want me in charge.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how well Meg would do on a multiverse journey or a trip through time. Then again, Brian doesn't do very good on those either. Maybe they should just Benadryl Stewie up until the parents get back. But they decide to give her a crack at it anyway.
Hey, by the way, I'm gonna flush your retainer down the toilet.
Okay, off to a good start. Stewie just wants to help with bath time. What a good little guy. But the more Meg tries to establish some form of leadership, the harder Stewie pushes back. and he's pushing in all sorts of places.
How about this? I press my butt against the wall and duke on it.
Ah yes, the chimpanzee style of defiance. A classic move. So if Meg wants to wrangle Stewie, she's gonna need to coat that fist with a little iron.
You listen to me, you little monster. I take abuse from everybody around here, but I am not gonna take it from you.
Yeah, way to put that toddler in his place. Baby steps, I guess. But Meg's change in demeanor actually manages to scare Stewie straight. Figuratively, of course.
She gave me a timeout and she made me sit in this chair.
My God, she put eyeshadow on you too.
I might have gotten up from the chair.
I get it, running makeup makes crying so much more of a vibe. So while Meg later apologizes and reconnects with Stewie, her moment of authority will no doubt go down as a warning to everyone in the family. And maybe Lois should have heeded Meg's warning of backing off from trying to seduce the handyman and girlfriend, because then the guy would probably still be alive. So while Peter's out of town, the house is visited by the embodiment of if HGTV did CrossFit.
So you just fill the hole with your cock?
Yes, it's very thick.
Just goes to show that if you throw a smooth jazz track over a home improvement show, it'll probably sound just softcore enough to make even HBO blush. But there's only one of him and 2 fiery women in this house. And since this isn't set in the Deep South, only one of them can have him.
It's not happening, old lady.
Meg, I'm warning you, if you don't back off, I will end you.
You wouldn't hit a girl dressed as Uncle Sam, would you? I think that might be some sort of federal crime. So they both do their best to try and win Jamie over, but when their sabotage gets a little physical, the worst happens. I'm not really shocked it ended up coming to this, but Jamie is truly shocked. Thanks for letting me try my stand-up jokes with you guys. Let me know if these jokes are gonna get flowers or old fruit thrown at me.
I'm okay.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, a man died, but can we still give kudos to Meg for standing up against Lois and keeping her from having all the fun? No? We can't? Look, they're both about to go to prison. Let Meg have this one thing. And when the one thing Meg wanted was a boyfriend, she worked up the confidence to go out with Kevin Swanson and dumped him not long after and stand by Meg. So after Meg manages to save Stewie from choking, he vows to make up for all the years of abuse she's gone through.
Dad, get off me! Get off me, Dad!
Hey, get off my sister!
Turns out making up for all of that might just put a lot of blood on Stewie's hands. The list of people who have wronged Meg is just as long as the list of people that she knows.
She deserves a better life than this, Brian. And you know what? I'm going to give it to her.
But after failing to make her a star school actress, Stewie realizes that the one thing Meg really wants is a boyfriend. Look, he's trying his best, but he's no miracle worker.
Yes, there's literally no one in town sad and desperate enough to date my sister.
But what about her old crush Kevin Swanson? Well, when he's done with that public gasoline bath, he might be interested.
Well, this could be a chance for you to help someone else who maybe feels as bad inside as you do.
Ah yes, the unpopular teenage girl and the PTSD-stricken war veteran. Quite similar backgrounds. But he agrees to go through with it, giving Meg what she always wanted.
He's a psycho. I dumped his ass.
Kinda surprised that the date between the pot and the kettle didn't work out. But you know what? Good on Meg for not settling just because she's lonely. It takes some serious self-confidence to do that, so we gotta applaud her. She may be Kevin's 1000 reason why, but good for her anyway. And Meg would make good for herself by fooling everyone and escaping mountains of debt under a different persona in Con Heiress. So Brian and Stewie are vying for the favor of a wealthy elderly woman, hoping to get a chunk of her change when she finally kicks the bucket.
Her 95-year-old husband is still hanging on by a thread. I can't make a move until he dies, which hopefully is any day now.
Hey, that's no way to view the elderly. Without them, who's gonna call you to ask what HDMI means? They're just here to make us feel a little bit better about ourselves. But it turns out that Brian and Stewie aren't the only ones pining after her money.
Quagmire?
No, Quagmire!
That's what I said.
He's just been so in character that he convinced himself he was deaf. So with all these competing parties involved, the three of them decide to team up to increase their odds of getting some money.
I'll split the estate with you two, but unless you're prepared to kill her, get the hell out!
Well, she does wind up dead, which means now they have access to everything she had, which turns out to be the biggest, fattest load of nothing ever known.
Miss Woolworth, etc., died owing $18 million.
But wait, isn't this supposed to be a video about Meg? Well, dear viewers, it turns out she was the elderly woman all along.
Yes, that's right. It was a Meg story.
Honestly, this is less about her dunking on her family and instead dunking on all of us. She made us watch a Meg episode without knowing it was a Meg episode. We'd be mad if we weren't so darn impressed. And we're impressed by how far Meg would go to escape house arrest, taking her destiny into her own hands, and then there's fraud. So while Peter and Chris are up to some boring old main plot stuff, Meg walks by and catches the attention of Peter.
Hey, Meg, Sweetie, where's your hallway buddy?
Dad, I'm fine.
So many questions. What caused her to need a hallway buddy? Is the hallway buddy more for her well-being or everyone else's? That's why we like you, Meg. So threateningly mysterious. And it's too bad we don't get any answers to those questions. In fact, we only get more questions.
Guys, I just found Meg's ankle bracelet.
So?
Her foot's still in it.
Now see, if more Meg episodes were like this, we think a lot more people would be interested in watching. So we don't really know what she's up to, but we gotta commend her for taking life by the reins and going where she wants to, no matter what man or nature says to her.
Hey, Meg! Where's your creek buddy?
And after getting fired from her job, Meg has enough self-respect to refuse to return when she's offered her job back in Movin' Out Brian's song. So Carl notices Meg's organizational skills and decides to offer her a job at the mini-mart.
Hey, you want a job?
What? Me? Here? Yeah, sure.
Easy there, slugger. It's a little market, not Hollywood. Though you're probably less likely to have your whole life destroyed here. She even manages to use her new position to land Chris a job, but it quickly becomes clear who Carl prefers.
Chris, I need you to stack the boxes in the back for me.
You know what, Meg? Why don't you do that?
I mean, Meg is definitely the most burly of those three. But still, it's obvious that Carl is giving Chris special treatment when he gives him the role originally meant for her.
Carl, this isn't fair.
All right, then, you're fired.
What?
Man, this will be a huge blemish on her resume. If she couldn't make it here, how's she gonna make it in the rough and tumble world of business? But eventually, Chris decides to be a good brother and asks for Meg's job back by refraining from discussing movies with Carl until he does.
Well, if you hire Meg back, maybe I'll have an opinion.
She's hired! She's hired!
A sweet gesture, but Meg turns down the offer since she can't stand Carl.
I really appreciate what you did for me, but I can't work for that guy anymore. He's a freak.
That can be a hard thing to do when you're desperate for money. After all, it's better to be broke and jobless than slightly less broke with a job that makes you want to take 2 pencils to the eyeballs. But when Meg's skills take her all the way to the Olympics, she sacrifices her dreams in order to save her dad in Griffin Winter Games. So things start with a shock as Meg reveals she's competing in the finals for an Olympic biathlon qualifier. Since when was that a thing?
The broccoli must die.
All right, I'm off to train for the Olympics.
Oh, so forever. Not gonna lie, sometimes my eyes roll in the back of my head like a shark whenever Meg's on screen, so it makes sense how I'd miss that. And it turns out the training was no joke either, as Meg actually manages to win, beating out several other athletes and Lacey Chabert?
This should be my Olympics.
Shut up, Meg!
No, you shut up, Meg.
No, you shut up, Meg!
Dang, I'm sure that has to feel good. Reclaiming the knife often used to stab you in the back has gotta feel cathartic. Though if it were a real knife, she'd probably be able to solve a lot more of her problems. But before Meg has her time to shine, someone takes the spotlight off of her. And it doesn't take a detective to figure out who that might be.
A U.S. tourist, Peter Griffin, has been apprehended by North Korea and is being held prisoner.
Oh well, he's their problem now. Watch him completely dismantle their government in a few months. Lois says the family needs to work together to save him, but Meg isn't ready to just throw away her dream like that.
But your father needs us.
I don't care. Where was he when I needed help? Where were any of you guys?
A fair point, but if we're being honest, the family being as far away from your hobbies as possible is probably what let you succeed at them in the first place. But before Peter can be executed, Meg has a change of heart and saves her dad with her 6 ski shooting skills.
Meg, that was amazing!
Yeah, and make a mental note, Peter. She's very good with a gun. This is one of those episodes that not only made Meg look like a star athlete, but also a hero to her family. Not a hero they deserved, but a hero nonetheless. And when Meg tried to become the hero of the airport as a TSA agent, she had to go hand to hand with a jealous coworker and Dr. C and the women. So Meg needs some cash, and Quagmire offers her a way to make some money. Don't worry, it's nothing as scary as you're probably presuming.
I could try to get you a job at the airport. They always need new TSA screeners.
On second thought, I stand corrected. Mad respect for the people in that field, but every time I see them, it looks like the life has been sucked out of them after telling the 20,000th person to remove their shoes. But it looks like Meg may have found her calling.
Look around. You're the hottest person who works here.
Finally, Meg gets to have her day in the sun. And if someone comes through and sets off the metal detector, she'll get to have her day in them. Cavity search. But not everybody's happy about the TSA's newest hot girl.
Listen up, Meg. This TSA isn't sweaty enough for the 2 of us.
That's probably true. The 2 of them look like they produce way more than the 3.4 ounces of liquid you're allowed. But when Marla decides to get violent, Meg has to fight back with whatever contraband she can get her hands on. Okay, definitely see why the TSA is so strict now. Still don't agree with them confiscating all my toiletries though. I guess I should have put more emphasis on the L when I said I had a balm So while Meg's stint as an agent didn't last too long, she still managed to stand up for herself when her coworker got jealous. And Meg would stand up for her right to live by making a new life for herself after she was assumed dead and better off Meg. So a girl dies in a car wreck while carrying Meg's ID, but the weird thing about that is Meg's alive and well.
Did you give my ID to the wrong girl?
Sorry, them shoe spray fumes made me all goofy in my head.
I'm gonna say what nobody else is willing to say. America has a freaking shoe spray crisis. But so does Meg, as now that she's apparently dead, she can choose to live any life she wants.
Well, that's it. I'm off to a new town to start a new life.
And that's exactly what she does, moving into a new apartment and making new friends with ease. Is there just something in Quahog's water that makes everyone a hostile freak?
I just thought I'd come by and see if I could borrow a cup of tampons.
Sure, just bring him back when you're done.
Well, this place may be just as weird, but at least they're friendly. But even with her great new life, Meg still finds herself missing her family and ends up reaching out to Chris.
Let's talk about it in the van.
Chris, what are you doing?
Sorry, Meg, but Chris isn't ready to give up his "my sister is dead" pity points just yet. He's already added it to his resume and everything. So Chris leaves Meg tied up in a warehouse so he can milk his popularity, but that's not gonna keep Meg down.
I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna live. I'm getting out of here.
Smashing your face into the cement is definitely an interesting way to prove your family wrong, but it gets the job done. She's gonna live, just maybe without a few teeth.
I'm alive! I'm alive!
And just like Frankenstein's monster before her, she too may come to regret her existence. But at least she had a moment of self-fulfillment where she stuck it to everybody by fighting for her right to exist. And Meg would leave her new husband to fight for himself when she learned that her marriage was just a green card scam in adult education. So carrying over from the episode before it, Meg is happily living in Russia with her new boyfriend Ivan.
Ah, my darling has appetite of Siberian walrus and is just as fragrant.
That's definitely the compliment it sounds like, for sure. And to make this Russian love story Facebook official, Ivan decides to tie the knot.
Will you make me happiest man in all of Russia, which is admittedly a very low bar?
There's no love like Russian love, especially the kind that's only existed for like a month. So the two get hitched, but it just doesn't feel right without Meg's family there to ruin everything.
Why don't we visit family in America? They can celebrate our wedding and say a proper farewell.
See, I knew I liked this guy. So thoughtful, so generous, so dressed to run laps on a track at any given moment. But unfortunately, this was all a ruse.
So you got green card marriage, huh?
That's right. American cow fell for it.
Well, I don't know how the cow feels about all this, but Meg hears everything, and she is mad. There's nothing scarier than a woman scorned, is what I used to think until I saw Meg scorned.
What the? Oh no!
Another great example of Meg not settling for just anybody, knowing her worth, and refusing to be used. One day she's gonna make a great wife for a very scared husband. And Meg would scare Chris into doing what she says through blackmail, making her the dominant sibling and Chris cross. So Chris wants some new shoes and decides to steal money from Lois's purse, but he gets caught by Meg.
I won't tell Mom and Dad about the money if you promise to do whatever I say.
I shouldn't be that scared by that offer, but have you seen these two when they're left alone with each other? Whatever I say really has no boundaries with her. So Meg makes Chris do every weird thing her heart desires until her brother has had enough.
I'm gonna run away and no one will ever see me again!
Good, go! And who's even gonna miss you?
Yeah, every kid says that at some point. And parents really shouldn't humor it because some kids will wind up in the wrong hands.
My goodness, I feel like I'm gonna pinch myself to see if I'm dreaming.
Case in point. Luckily, this little union doesn't last long as Herbert quickly gets sick of him, leading Meg to finally apologize to her brother.
I should have never blackmailed you. I'm really sorry, and I want you to come home.
She was in the wrong, but we get why she did it. She's often the lowest on the totem pole and never really has any power over anybody else in the family. Chris just happened to be the one caught in the crossfire of this power trip. You gotta let a girl go a little mad with power sometimes. It's good for the skin and gallbladder. And Meg would go a little insane with Chris as the two teamed up to absolutely destroy their entire school that tries to shun them in the D in Apartment 23. So after Brian makes a tasteless joke on Twitter, he ends up being ostracized by the entire town.
You racist jerk! I hope you get foot and mouth disease!
It's one thing to wish disease on someone's feet or mouth, but both? You gotta let him keep at least one of them. And because Brian is now public enemy #1, so is anybody associated with him.
Your dog wrote an insensitive tweet. You can't eat here.
Uh-oh, Meg. It's a sensitivity mob.
A mob who's pretty sensitive about hurtful words, but not all that sensitive to brutal violence. Ain't that just the way? Oh well, Meg and Chris would be happy to oblige them. So Meg and Chris really do a number on the entire school, which I'm sure feels very cathartic for her. Connie D'Amico must have been out sick today, and she better thank her lucky stars she didn't get a high heel to the eyeball.
It was a joke.
But Meg's basketball skills were no joke when she used her father's constant abuse as fuel to become an incredible player, and White Meg can't jump. So the aggressive way Meg throws her body around is noticed by Principal Shepard, who offers her a spot on the basketball team.
Yeah, no.
I've seen enough, Griffin. I guess I was wrong about you.
Yeah, it turns out fighting over a piece of pizza like a starving raccoon doesn't exactly translate to basketball skills. But you know what does? A little constructive criticism.
What are your feet nailed to the ground? Jump!
Looks like all Meg needed was just a little bullying to awaken her like an NBA sleeper agent. Finally, Peter's bullying is good for more than just a future child abuse lawsuit.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Peter, you're right. Your insults are making Meg play better.
But you can only insult someone for so long until karma comes to collect, as Peter eventually ends up losing his voice.
Hey, Meg, you play like Kobe. Beef! Jiminy Christmas!
I see the ghost of Kobe Bryant didn't take too kindly to that jab. So with Peter's voice damage, that means Meg won't be able to play as well. So it looks like she's gonna have to pull the hatred out of him.
Well, guess what, you tubby piece of crap? I don't need you.
And this little bit of reverse psychology gives Peter the strength to hurl one more insult at her. Look, your voice is temporary, but high school sports glory is forever.
From the bottom of my heart, I wish we never had you.
Father and daughter bonding like this really does bring a tear to my eye. This is a great moment of Meg turning a negative into a positive, weaponizing her own abuse to succeed in spite of her parents. And when Lois spited Meg by making out with her boyfriend, Meg aggressively lashed out at her and go Stewie go. So Meg has got herself a new boyfriend, and with no obvious deformities or mental issues to speak of, their pairing becomes the talk of the town.
He seems to be completely normal.
Well, better to be safe than sorry. Apparently they gotta make sure all the tests have been run before they even think about giving Meg a sliver of respect. But it's not just Meg who seems to like this guy.
I bet you taste like Mountain Dew and Starburst.
Sounds like it would rot her teeth, which is honestly perfectly suited to match all those sinful thoughts she's having. And Lois decides to indulge in those sinful fantasies by making up an excuse to get Meg out of the house so she can have her boyfriend all to herself.
Let me ask you this. Do my gray hairs bother you?
What gray hairs?
Kiss me.
Couldn't even wait to make sure Meg had driven away yet. And on the couch? Shaggy has a whole song about the dangers of this. Obviously, Meg isn't too happy about all that and has a few choice words for her mother.
Look at you. You're old. You're nothing. You couldn't even imagine the things I do for him.
And personally, I don't really wanna. Therapy is expensive and I'd rather just live in ignorant bliss. But this does open up a nice opportunity for Meg to inflict some emotional and physical damage on her mom.
Oh my God.
He hangs me from the shower rod with your old bras and then we laugh at you.
The kids are into some weird stuff these days, and I don't think Lois can keep up. While it's kinda hard to call this a win for Meg, she still earns a bit of respect by not just rolling over and letting Lois get away with this. We only hope her boyfriend is into this new hockey player look Meg's trying out. And when Chris got a new look and became too popular, Meg teamed up with her archenemy Connie D'Amico to get revenge for his mistreatment of her in steroids. So Connie decides to try a little experiment, but not the normal kind of high school experiment that involves dyeing your hair or professing your love to your best friend.
What if I date a loser and make him over into a popular guy?
I'd say you'd be going against nature. If the natural order wanted those kids to be popular, they would have gifted them with a strong jawline and an intact hairline. But Connie finds the perfect test subject in Chris.
You and I are going on a date Saturday night.
Okay.
I'll see you then.
He makes it look so easy. Did I go about high school all wrong? Could I have scored the most popular girl in school with more public booger eating? But during this experiment, Connie ends up developing real feelings for Chris and they become a legitimate couple.
There's something about him. He's not like the other guys.
But then she just turns him into one of the other guys for some reason. And yet she acts surprised when he gets popular enough to dump her.
Come on, girls, let's go upstairs and make out.
So after that fall from grace, Connie is forced to align herself with Meg, who's also been mistreated by Chris since he became popular.
Hey, Meg, think fast. Loser!
All right, let's do it.
In hindsight, Chris probably could have just become popular thanks to his apparent javelin throwing skills. And Meg knows the perfect way to take him down with a home movie Chris didn't want anybody seeing.
Hey, Chris, what's that? Did you sit on something?
Yeah, I'd probably forget all language if I saw Chris's thing staring back at me. So this makes Chris a social outcast yet again, and Connie and Meg, well, not friends. But this is just further proof not to mess with Meg. She's best friends with the skeletons in your closet and isn't afraid to bring them out. And Meg would bring out the pain when pushed too far by a guy on the highway and wrote to Rupert. So after Peter loses his license, Lois decides to enlist a driver for him so he can still get around.
Meg?
Yeah, Dad. I don't mind driving you around till you get your license back.
What? Lois, this is the best you could do?
Nah, it's the best she wanted to do. You got a while before you go to the afterlife, Peter, but that doesn't mean you can't be punished for your sins here on Earth. Unfortunately, Meg is the one who gets punished the most in this pairing.
I want apple juice.
Dad, you left your apple juice at home.
I want apple juice.
Just drive the car off the interstate, Meg. No one would blame you. And things get even worse when Peter decides to bring his drunk pals along with him.
Hey, Meg, I lit your scalp on fire.
I think there are like 5 different laws being broken in just this one scene. Honestly, pretty impressive. Too bad the guy who ends up rear-ending the car doesn't seem to think so.
What the hell is your problem, you dumb bimbo? God, stop!
Not saying the guy didn't deserve it, but those fists are probably better suited for the faces of those numbskulls in the back seat. On the plus side, this little incident makes Peter respect Meg way more.
Oh, you should have seen what our amazing freaking daughter did to that guy, Lois. She kicked his ass.
It makes total sense that a violent man like him would only recognize other acts of violence. You can argue whether Meg was right or wrong for beating up that guy, but you do gotta sympathize with her brief unwillingness to take crap from anybody. And Meg would have to step away from her father's crap to focus on getting into college, and Meg stinks. So Peter and Meg go on a road trip so she can tour her dream college, but it's just too bad she couldn't have gone with someone who actually likes her.
I ordered you nothing.
What else is new?
She'll get her food when she earns it, or she'll waste away first. No skin off Peter's back. But as they continue to talk, Peter realizes they have more in common than he thought.
I don't hate you, Meg. You're my kid.
I mean, that wasn't really a compliment, was it? Kinda just a broad, obvious observation. And after some reckless college party drinking that cost Meg her chance of getting into school, Peter finally realizes how much he likes Meg.
Dad and I had a great time. We went to a party. We bonded for the first time in our lives.
But the kind of bonding they did is like when a parasite bonds to its victim. Pretty soon, Peter's nonsense ends up wearing Meg out, and she's forced to cut him off.
I thought we were friends.
Dad, I don't need you to be my friend. I need you to be my father.
So while this isn't a big burst of emotion or violence like some of her other moments, this was still a moment that took a lot of courage to do, throwing away something she had always sought to have. Oh well, better a college drain all her time and energy than her dad. At least she might get a degree out of it rather than a first-degree murder charge. But when Meg got charged with a crime and Dial Meg for murder, she returned as a hardened criminal who was very eager to put her family in their place. So after Meg is found harboring her escaped convict boyfriend, she too is shipped off to the slammer.
Hi.
Did you also get caught trying to vote in Ohio?
A harsh crime worthy of an even harsher punishment. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's on the 10 Commandments. Pretty cool that they knew what Ohio was way back in biblical times. But after enough time passes, Meg is finally released into the outside world.
I'm home. You're all my b****s now.
Okay.
No need to tell Stewie twice. Rupert just isn't the kind of Dom Stewie's looking for anymore. And it sounds like Meg is looking to fill the role of Dom for everyone, whether they want her to or not.
Now who's the funniest?
I know my way around a joke.
Better to die the class clown than to live hiding your truth. Respect, Peter. Hope you got good dental insurance. But Meg's new personality isn't just contained to home, which is unfortunate for everyone else. Finally, recycling has an immediate good use for a change. She's crazy, but at least she's Earth conscious. And with her family frighteningly wrapped around her finger, it looks like Meg can get away with whatever she wants.
You're gonna help me get some money so I can get out of this town.
A little travel would be good for her, just not to Ohio. If you can't even vote there, I doubt they'll be too kind to whatever all this is. Brian does manage to talk some sense into her by the end, but this was still one of the first times Meg actually got to pay her family back for years of mistreatment. That's just the power of getting a tribal tattoo. You can go from nerd to warrior in a matter of hours. And of course, no list of Meg standing up for herself would be complete without Seahorse Seashell Party, where Meg verbally eviscerated everyone in the family who had wronged her. So when a huge storm hits Quahog, the Griffins are forced into spending too much time with Meg. Their original record was only a minute and a half.
Bang, bang!
Hey, me too! Bang!
Oh, no one wants to get finger banged by you, Meg.
I think you all need to holster those finger guns, because the last thing we need is imagining you guys using them on yourselves. And after enough ragging on Meg, she finally snaps.
Yeah, shut up, Meg!
No! You shut up, Chris! I am sick of all you guys ganging up on me.
They kinda have to, because it's very obvious Meg would kill each of them in one-on-one encounters. Their strength in numbers and the Steiner math doesn't lie. But since her entire family is right here, lined up like ducks, Meg thinks it's time to start firing off some shots.
What if I started calling you a fat, zitty loser who has no friends and smells like an old woman who has birds for pets?
You know, she's got a point. At least Meg has a group of friends whose names may escape me every time I see their faces. Who does Chris have? A burnout gas station clerk? An older kid who just wants to get with Chris's sister? The old man down the street who's really into NyQuil?
Meg seems to think she's taken some kind of stand here that's gonna make us all feel like we're inadequate.
My God, you're condescending!
And Lois isn't safe from Meg's roasting either, as she calls her out for being a failure of a mother.
Not only are you not the perfect mother, you're the furthest thing from.
Yeah, she's floating somewhere on the spectrum of Louise Turpin. And it turns out that being critical of Lois's treatment of Meg hurts her feelings. Imagine that.
You're right, I'm a terrible mother. I'm so sorry.
Well, Meg can't understand Stewie, and she barely even remembers Brian exists half the time, so it looks like the only one left to destroy is Peter.
If someone in the outside world could see the way you treat me, you would be in jail.
Yeah, for like a few days of holding, maybe. In reality, he'd probably be sent straight to the electric chair, or just put in a bath with a toaster to save the taxpayers some money.
Take a good look at yourself, Peter Griffin. You're a waste of a man.
It's too bad Meg walks back all the stuff she just said by the end of the episode, because this could have been Meg's defining moment of self-defense. Oh well, I guess they gotta keep the abuse train rolling. They've already sold too many Shut Up Meg t-shirts to stop now. But what's your favorite Meg moment? Be sure to let us know down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more Family Guy videos.